Hi everybody and welcome to a special revision webinar looking at some advice, some tips for writing a personal statement for a university application in economics or economics related subjects. Hopefully this will be a useful session for you. I'm going to go through 2 or 3 personal statements that I think have got some interesting things to show, offer some general advice about writing a statement and also some suggestions for reading and enrichment and extension activities. So thank you for joining me. Hopefully this will be a useful session for you as you think ahead to the important university application process. What makes a really good economic statement? Well, we'll keep in mind, of course, that many of these courses are extremely competitive, and so you'll want to make the best application you possibly can. Lots of the things that we think about are data related. You'll have your GCSE grades, possibly some grades from Year 1 courses. You'll have your forecast subject grades from teachers. And you'll have your references written by a senior tutor at the school, perhaps head of sixth form, or by your headmaster at school. So lots of things go into the mix, one of which, of course, is the UCAS personal statement. My instinct, my advice to you is that the best personal statements are those which are genuinely personal. They're written by you and they're not manufactured by many hands. There's always a danger that you show your draft statements to all and sundry, and they can offer useful advice oftentimes in the process, but you end up writing something that's actually not you. It's not authentic. And admissions tutors are pretty expert. They read hundreds, thousands of statements every year. And so they want to see something which is genuinely personable and written in the language of a 17, 18-year-old. You only get one chance to be 17, and this is your chance. So don't worry too much about writing a perfect statement. You'll be there forever. And there is beauty in imperfection. Second point I want to stress to you is that a personal statement should show academic and intellectual curiosity. That's, I think, a really, really important point. Show that you're curious to take your chosen subjects or subject well beyond the A-level course. Indeed, you might want to demonstrate that you understand some key issues, some contemporary controversies in your subject, and think about some of those. I think it's hugely important that you show that you've left the A-level course behind, that you are genuinely capable of being a very high-level, successful undergraduate student. Show, if you can, in your personal statement, hard, solid, firm evidence of enrichment work in activities related to your potential degree course. Your personal statement, if you do that, will confirm you are actually a motivated, independent learner. You're not too dependent on spoon-feeding of notes from teachers and things. Personal statement should reveal lots about your drive and your commitment and your passions, and should basically focus a little bit on the academic side of things for the next 2, 3, even 4 years, depending on which university you're going to go to. I'll say a bit more about personal statements as we go through some examples here. So bear with me, and let's have a look at some statements. Now, as we go through some of these, don't forget this is going to be on the YouTube channel, so you can press the pause button whenever you want to take a longer, lingering look at some aspects of personal statements. So this one, actually, I'm going to start with a geography personal statement, because let's think about some aspects of writing a statement which are independent a little bit of economics. Actually, a lot of people take economics and geography as a joint honours course. So this is a geography personal statement, and I've split it up into the various paragraphs. There'll be lots of text on these slides, but of course you can always press the pause button if you need to go over in more detail. So this is the first paragraph of this student's personal statement. A nice little opening salvo about the responsibility of geographers to think about the future, particularly in relation to urban development. Some evidence there that this student delivered a presentation on failures of urban planning, hinting of some investigative trips to East London, and gaining an awareness of how informal economies in deprived areas can play a role in bolstering regeneration, so things like favelas and informal settlements, etc. Quite interesting there, the red bit. I'll highlight this for you. Sudhir Alidi's Venkatesh's book, The Underground Economy of the Urban Poor. Now, that's not the sort of book that you would find at the bookstall of an airport. It's clearly quite an academic book, and it relates to the rise of shadow markets, for example, in Chicago. Paul Knox, if you're a geographer, you'll probably come across Paul Knox's Atlas of Cities, taught the student how the social structure of cities is integral to their success. Quite a little interesting opening paragraph. You might say it's a little bit lengthy, but it says nothing about the A-level course. There's no mention here of the course. They're thinking beyond the syllabus, if you like. That's a really good way to think about it. Structure is clearly relevant here. Structure and function should be integrated, encapsulating a fine balancing act between diversity and cohesion. Now this is clearly a student who is at home with some of the technical aspects of geography. Let's move on to the second paragraph, continuing a theme about structure and form, and the second paragraph is essentially about migration, but topical, contemporary issue that's certainly relevant both to economics and also to geography. Some hint here, my research for an internal essay prize. Perhaps your school or college has an essay competition on for you to write at length, perhaps an extended project qualification you can mention there. Some referencing of a book, Exodus, by Professor Paul Colley, who's quite a well-known economist from Oxford University. And crucially, it's quite interesting here, so this student mentions Collier's work, and if I just highlight this section, although providing convincing evidence that diaspora, people who live and work overseas, could be obviated through the use of quotas, I challenged this conclusion. So in a personal statement, it's quite important to reflect on what you've read rather than just report on what you've read. Reflection is better than just simply listing and reporting. So this student tries to challenge some of the views in Collier's book, and that comes across quite nicely, and a nice link there, given the current popular support in Germany for victims of Syrian migration. Again, taking issue with Collier's work. So we're 2 paragraphs in, everybody, and there's obviously quite a bit of geography in there. A lot of text here because there's so much in paragraph 3. So gaining an understanding of how geographers analyse data, motivated to write a research report. So that's interesting. So again, evidence of independent learning. So investigated the use of GIS in Kenya to examine land uses. That's quite interesting. Taking geographical studies well beyond the boundaries of the United Kingdom. I like this bit here. During my research, so you interviewed clearly a researcher at GIS in Nairobi in Kenya, and again reflecting on the research that was done. Now this student's been quite entrepreneurial. He's actually set up a web app called Edge Mobile, which is a ski app. It's been quite successful, I think. But again, reflecting on not just that he or she has created a startup app, Edge Mobile, but also linking it to the environment, linking it to geography, handling of interpretation of analysis of data. Sort of stuff that's oftentimes the sort of solid university geography experience. Paragraph 4, at school, the student ran the Entrepreneurship Society, hosting leading discussions with CEOs, had a senior role in the Geography Society. So if your school has a particular lunchtime society that runs and you're a member of it, then that's really good to put in. Student was a house captain or a senior prefect, for example. He's over 2 years I've mentored English and maths at local schools and given lectures at Enterprise at a summer school. And a little bit about skiing and sailing to instructor standard. So not a huge amount about the extracurricular in terms of the non-geography. Most of this statement is really firmly focused on geography as a degree subject. And that is something I would strongly encourage you to do. Really think about the academic content of your personal statement. Go heavy on that. I would think 80 to 90% of a good personal statement is going to be absolutely firmly focused on your academic subjects. And actually this student finishes off with a paragraph here. For me, geography is strategic and fundamental. It's not only evaluates critical issues, but also seeks solutions to these big problems. There can be little more rewarding than that. Good personal statement, excellent one. The student was successful, in fact, in getting into quite a strong university of his choice. Good, I think a really good statement. There's lots there to enthuse about. You can make and again, don't worry too much about the fine tuning, the flow of the writing and the content, the structure. The key is there's a lot of depth there. Let's have a look at an economics personal statement. This is quite an interesting one. So again, I've split it up into paragraphs just to help us a little bit along the way. So in the aftermath of the crisis, I first became aware of how consumer business confidence is necessary to maintain a stable, progressive economic system. Okay, growing up in the downturn, constant recession, media and subsequent austerity measures intrigued me to explore the workings of what I came to know as the economy. Now, what I would say here, this is fine, but I think this kind of stuff needs to be avoided if you can possibly help it. Economics at AS levels provided me with valuable insight into the workings of the macro and microeconomy. Well, it may or may not have done, but this is a UCAS personal statement. I would suggest to you strongly you leave the syllabus well behind. Don't make any reference at all to what you've studied at school. Show an admissions tutor or university admissions expert that you've taken your subject well beyond the syllabus. So I think this is okay as an opening paragraph, but I could basically have fitted all of that into about 3 lines and ignored the rest. Then it gets better though, so I particularly enjoyed discovering and evaluating government macro objectives. Again, that's a little bit AS, okay? Doesn't really add anything to the statement. Doesn't add anything actually, in my opinion. The commonly unrealistic assumptions made. So again, this is kind of AS stuff. Then it starts to get better. The skepticism led between Paul Ormond's positive linking, which is good. That's a nice, good book to read. Ormond affirms the immense relevance of social networks. Worked on Keynes and Hubert Seymour. Okay, that's better. Behavioural economics themes, heuristics and non-Gaussian distributions are also key discussion points. Fine. Now, had this student spent less time talking through their AS year, they would have had more time to really get stuck into that in more detail, I think. Of course, you can only have a certain number of characters. Paragraph 3. Now, this really gets better. I think this statement gets better as we go along. So, evidence of doing some reading. A book on game theory by an author called Davis. And this paragraph is quite strong on mathematical economics. I further developed my interest in game theory following a massive open online course, a MOOC, taught by Professor Pollock at Yale University. I mentioned Hal Varian's intermediate macroeconomics, clear indication which A2 maths can directly incorporate in economics. Okay, this is better. The adoption of tools such as calculus. This is better. This is beyond the syllabus. This is beyond the course. And this bit's quite interesting. Alongside my A-levels, I'm also teaching myself AS further maths, exploring topics such as Lagrange multipliers and constraint optimization. Now that is quality stuff. It's sending a signal to a university admissions tutor saying that, okay, I think I need now further maths to pursue my ambitions. So in my final year, my year 13, I'm going to teach myself AS further maths, and also I'm going to take an online course in game theory. Now, I think paragraph 3 is way better than the previous 2 paragraphs. Maybe you'll disagree, and we'll have a discussion about that in a few minutes. Paragraph 4, again, bits in blue I quite like. My interest in economic history has been prompted by Heilbronner's Worldly Philosophers. That's a good book. Particularly intrigued by the work of Keynes. As part of an EPQ, so I mentioned the extended project qualification, I studied the influence of Keynes on economic thinking. That's quite interesting. So this is a student who has read more on Keynes. Could have spent maybe a couple of lines talking about what particular Keynesian insights he or she had decided to take. The student attended an Easter school at Gonville and Caius College in Cambridge, and of course there may be some summer schools and some Easter schools you can attend. This student attended a university summer school in July 2013. That's quite interesting. And again, some nice bits here. Sixth form elected Senate, speaking with charisma for the 400 people. Wow. I don't know who charisma is, but this student had a chance to speak with her. A member of the school's nationally renowned chamber choir. Cool. Okay, and I'm hoping to pursue my musical interest at university. This is a nice, again, thinking about the structure, mostly economics, 80% economics, quite strong. The third paragraph was much better because it was more mathematical, and if you're going to go to university, you need to be able to do maths in economics. So that was a good one. Some game theory, but the first 2 paragraphs I think could have been better. There was a bit kind of waffly, a bit kind of AS style, but not bad. And again, this student actually successfully got into the course, the very high level course that in this case he was hoping to achieve. Let's take a look at another one. Hopefully that was a useful one for you. Let's take a look at one on politics, economics and politics. A lot of students interested in joint honours courses, economics and international relations, economics and politics, PPE, that kind of stuff. Interesting. First paragraph, being shortlisted to become the nation's youth chancellor was my first exposure to the conflicting yet complementary nature of economics with politics, economics and philosophy. So the student's going to do PPE. The opportunity to decide fiscal policy left with me questions that transcended the graphs and statistical economics. Yeah. I questioned whether Friedman was right to say that taxation was an infringement of freedom, etc. Okay, that's interesting. This is a quite interesting opening statement. Clearly being given the accolade of a youth chancellor within maybe a competition or an organisation. Very interesting. Good enrichment, good extension. Like this start. Then we get stuck into some politics, studying Stalin's Russia for AS history. Now, again, I would argue to you that you should leave the AS course alone. Don't mention it. So, for example, just saying studying Stalin's Russia this year has sparked an interest in political ideology and spurred me. Notice these that sparked and spurred research more about the application of socialism to their society. Now, Owen Jones's Chavs. Owen Jones is a left-leaning journalist and author. Not many students would talk about Owen Jones's work. Explored the neo-Marxist concepts of class and pushed me to question how far the perception of the exploitation of the working class has shaped the landscape of the UK over the last 150 years. Now, this is quite interesting. I'm going to highlight this for you. This is where this student is reflecting on their reading rather than just describing and reporting. Just going to take a sip of tea. We'll be there in a second. Oh, there we go. That's nice. So this student is reflecting. What most struck me was how the simple notion of personal class affiliation has led to an actual realization of class blocks with significant but diminishing economic political power. Now this is good. This is what I like to see in the personal statement. There is some depth here. The student has clearly left the syllabus behind. So I quite like this paragraph. Nice sections here. Green bits again. Studying economics and politics at a university college, at Eton College's summer school, developed my ability to challenge orthodox views in both disciplines. That's quite interesting. A skill I now use in my role as an economics prefect. To take economics beyond the narrow remit of the syllabus. That's interesting. Making economics as interdisciplinary as possible. I like that. I'm gonna bold that and put it into red. I like that little phrase there. Future reference. For example, I organised the attendance of the Economic Society, so the student is clearly running an Economic Society at school, to an LSE lecture in London entitled "What Would Hayek Do?" Yeah, I like that. Go to see an independent lecture. Maybe at your local university you could do that. And so, and the paragraph talks about reading Ha-Joon Chang's book. Many people have read Ha-Joon's work, The Heterodox Economist. So it's a nice little extra enrichment work there. Let's highlight that. Yeah, again, some nice bits of extension enrichment work in here and some nice reflection. I found the argument against the existence of an objective free market fascinating, as it made me question how much more of economic theory is defined by politics. There's quite a bit here that you could ask in an interview, for example. Then we get into paragraph 4. My internship at the constituency office of David Cameron MP, never heard of him, allowed me to fully grasp how democracy benefits the lives of individuals at the grassroots level. That's interesting. The student did an internship at the Department of Energy and Climate Change. Wow. Okay, that's cool. Internship incited an internal philosophical debate about whether you have the right to impose Western values of environmental responsibility in countries like China. Yeah, interesting. So some work experience there. Work experience never absolutely pivotal, but often very useful in terms of supporting it. Final paragraph, 5 paragraphs this time, to challenge myself in areas outside academia. So again, the first four paragraphs have been academic, yes, and the final paragraph is the extracurricular. Okay, again, 85 to 90% of your statement should be academic, in my opinion, and I've been doing it for years. So this student completed the Duke of Edinburgh Award. Excellent. Exposed me to the art of boxing. Wow. Like that. Motivated me to use my interest in personal development to volunteer as a maths tutor in my inner city community and mentor low ability special needs pupils in geography. That is good. I hope to further develop my sense of social responsibility at university. Okay, so pretty cool. I'm actually going to flick back a few. Bear with me. Let's go back to the start here. So. Economics at the first paragraph, youth chancellor, fiscal policy discussions, some politics, and focused on Owen Jones's Chavs book. Only one book mentioned there, but developed in depth. Summer schools, running an economic society, more reading, work experience, relevant work experience to politics, and the student clearly interested in geography as well as politics. And then the extracurricular, the Duke of Edinburgh Award, the mentoring, the volunteering, absolutely superb. I think this is a tremendous personal statement. You might disagree with me, we'll have a conversation about that in a few minutes, but this is really interesting. Okay, one more. How are we doing? Are we okay? Let's do one more. So, this is an economist looking to do, I think, a pure economics degree. So there's no joint honours here. The previous one was economics and politics. This is a student hoping to do just pure eco. So I first became aware of the importance of economics. What I'm going to do in this one, I'm going to highlight the bits that I really like as we go through. So, Model United Nations. Yeah, we like that. We like the idea of students doing things like debating Model United Nations. That's really good enrichment work. I debated issues ranging from problem of aid dependence. He won the Best Delegate Award. Wow. Since then, I've extended my knowledge of different areas of economics by reading the FT and the Economist. Fine, a lot of people put those in. It's okay, no problem. But by attending open lectures at the LSE and the RSA, Royal Society of Arts, yeah, some good stuff there. In my gap year, this is a student who's taking a gap year. I'm working as a research assistant for the Growth Centre, IGC, that's based at the LSE, I think, with Professor Tim Besley, in a team planning to measure private returns to education, the exciting possibility of undertaking field work in India. Wow. That'll be incredible. If you're taking a gap year, it's really good in a personal statement to have a firm idea of what you're going to be doing. Put it in. Don't be airy-fairy. Firm idea is always better because that can incite some interest. Second paragraph, my interest in game theory. Game theory, if you're going to do economics at university, game theory is good to mention as a method for understanding strategic decisions. So some more reading there. Dixon Nailbuff, that's a classic text. Game theory appeals to me because it provides an opportunity to use my aptitude for maths. I'm working through maths for economics and business. Okay, by Ian Jacques. That sounds like a lot of fun. Enjoyed applying calculus to problems. Okay, I suppose calculus helps you to differentiate yourself from other students. I'm eager to develop my mathematical skills, and then okay, that could be taken out. Okay, it doesn't say anything. Doesn't add anything to the statement. It's basically waffle. Okay, it's pretty obvious you're going to take some maths at university. Recent terminal in the global economy led to read Animal Spirits by Akerlof and Schiller. That's quite an interesting book. George Akerlof and Robert Schiller. This student wrote an essay from the RES Young Economist of the Year competition. Well, that is gold dust, everybody. Hopefully a lot of you are researching for that competition. It's tremendous. And crucially, not just that this student wrote an essay, but they then reflect on what they've written about. So don't just report, reflect. Okay, like that one. Big paragraph 4, talking about development economics. This is quite interesting. So let's go back a second. Okay, paragraph 2 was game theory. Paragraph 3 was the world economy recessions. Okay, paragraph 4 is development economics. So 3 separate topic-related, issue-related paragraphs here. Amartya Sen, we like Amartya Sen, great economist. Sparked my interest in the role of economic and social liberties. Okay, so there's stuff about aid here. William Easterly, who is, I think, a critic of aid, if memory serves. The student's showing an interest in microfinance. And the student wrote an entry for a school's economic essay prize. Now, look, if your school doesn't have an essay prize competition, get yourself over to the head of economics and say, right, we want to organise an essay competition. Not just the World Economic Society, let's have an essay competition. And we could all enter it, and we can put a book token up or something as a prize, or a packet of crisps. And, writing extended essays in economics, going beyond the syllabus, is phenomenally good for economics personal statements. So, microfinance, that's cool. Paragraph 5, quite interesting here. My view, education is the best remedy to improve global living standards. So this student has undertaken mountain expeditions to the Himalayas and the Andes. He's raised over $12,000 to educate orphan girls. Wow, that's incredible. Again, firm plans for the gap year, which is cool, like that. Secretary of my school's economic society. Okay, so clearly a leader. Okay, that's cool. There's plenty here to infuse, I think. And again, there's no mention of the course, no mention of the sixth form A-level course, isn't it? It's just basically, this is what I do, this is me. I try and go beyond the normal. Okay, I like this paragraph. And in fact, this student got into Cambridge to read economics. Okay, and so let's actually go through these. The first four, the first one was geography. That student got into read geography at Oxford, having got rejected the first time around. Second student got in from a state school in Yorkshire, got into read economics at Cambridge. Phenomenal. Third student was a girl from a school in London, highly motivated student, loved economics and geography, but has developed a passion for politics. She got in to do PPE, one of the top courses at Oxford. And the final student got into read economics at Cambridge. They were, everybody, 4 personal statements of successful Oxbridge candidates. But of course, the ideas, the thinking behind it applies to lots of different subjects as well. Now, a word about reading. It's important to read widely, and summer is a great chance to do it. My instinct says don't read anything that you could get at an airport bookstore. Having said that, Michael Lewis, who wrote The Big Short and Liar's Poker and Flash Boys, his new book, The Undoing Project, will be in an airport bookstore But it's going to be amazing. It's going to be the story of Danny Kahneman and Amos Tversky and the founding of behavioral economics. It is going to be incredible. Okay. Cesar Hidalgo, Why Information Grows, is a favourite book of mine. If you're trying to do management, for example, if you're trying to do business management, economics and management, finding some great books on the emerging businesses, the platform businesses like Uber, Airbnb, Dropbox, Stripe, Reddit, those kind of businesses. Dan Lyons, his book Disrupted is highly recommended there. If you're interested in sociology and politics, Robert Putnam's new book about American kids and social dysfunction in America is fascinating. I'm told that the sharing economy is really, really interesting if you're interested in the kind of emerging sharing model. Inner Lives of Markets by Ray Fissman and Tim Sullivan is also very good. Now, you've probably never come across these books before. If you go on our website, I've got a list of about 25 books that I think are great for economics reading. I'll post on the blog. Just type in UCAS reading or something and you'll find it. But the key is not to choose something that's necessarily popular. Choose something that's really, really interesting, something that's different and distinctive, so that your personal statement will stand out. Okay? Finally, it's really important. It's great news for your statement to have some extracurricular activities. So whatever floats your boat is fine, but try and pick stuff that's high quality and that really makes a difference. So, for example, the Royal Economic Society essay competition, top left. That always gives me a bit of a buzz, that sign there. So that is at the end of June, and it's a great competition to enter. Even if you don't get high commended, if you don't win it, it's hardly unlikely. Over 1,000 entries at least guaranteed, I would think. Just writing the essay and then reflect upon it, it's going to give you a terrific paragraph in your personal statement. Things like summer schools. Young Founders is great. The Sutton Trust organise lots of summer schools and summer programmes based often in universities. They're great. I love to see students debating. I love to see students involved in Model United Nations, in youth parliaments. They are absolutely top-notch enrichment activities. And work experience can help, but I prefer you to work in a charity or work for a volunteer organisation rather than necessarily just working in an accountant's office for 7 days. Accountants, of course, are people who don't necessarily have the personality to be economists, or should we say the charisma to be economists. But find something interesting. I'm sure you've got lots of things lined up, and just go with it and challenge yourself and be ambitious there. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say on this one. So we have been through some personal statements, and I'll take some questions in a minute, but that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of UCAS applications and writing a personal statement. Thank you.